Starring amongst others, Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, Henry Golding and Andrew Reynolds, directed by Paul Feig off of a screenplay by Jessica Sharza, this is my review for A Simple Favour. A Simple Favour is the story of Stephanie, played by Anna Kendrick, who befriends Emily, Blake Lively. The friendship that the two of them form is a bit odd, it's a bit strange, and there's certain things about Emily that just don't feel quite right. It isn't long before Emily vanishes, and it's left to Stephanie to put together the pieces of the mystery as to where she's gone. Now, there's certain movies, back when I was doing written reviews, there were certain films that I was a bit apprehensive about reviewing because they were quite difficult to do, and there were some that I kind of wish I didn't have to review, but I'd have PR companies email saying, can you send us your review of this? There was no choice. And one of those movies in particular that I struggled with was Gone Girl. Not because it's a bad movie, just because there's, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a twist about halfway through Gone Girl that really does affect the view of the whole movie. It changes everything. It changes the narrative of the whole film. And I really struggle doing a spoiler-free review of that because most of my thoughts pertained to the reveal that happened. And I've got similar sort of issues with A Simple Favour, in that there's certain things that I would love to be able to talk about, but they would, without question, be spoilers. So it's a very difficult kind of tightrope to walk on this to give my thoughts and my overall feelings on it, because, yeah, there's certain things about the way it wraps up and things that are revealed about halfway through again that have an effect, have an impact on what I think about this overall. But to try and avoid spoilers, for the most part, I think this was a really great film. With Paul Feig movies, I'm not a huge fan of them. There's certain things that he does, certain tropes that he has in his films that I find to be a little bit off-putting. Some things that he does in quite a lot of his movies. But this one is very different. It's still a comedy. There's still some very silly and very funny moments. And to be fair to Paul Feig, quite a lot of his comedy moments are good. It's just, I think some of them just get overplayed a little bit. I don't think he knows quite when to rein in the comedy, but he does with this one. This is a very different sort of movie for Paul Feig. It said in the trailers for it, the darker side of him, and it is, because this is a very dark film, and while it does retain some of the comedic elements, there are also other aspects to it that are pretty disturbing. Incest comes into this in a pretty big way, and again, I'm not going to say who that relates to, but it's a big part of the movie. It's not something that's alluded to, it's something we physically see taking place on the screen, and I wasn't expecting A Simple Favour to go quite that dark. But then I don't really know what I expected from this movie to begin with, because I didn't expect it to be a comedy either. And it is. There's a lot of this that I say is very, very funny, and a lot of that comes from the performances from Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. The two of them are amazing in this film. Blake Lively, the snark that she has, the way she has of just delivering all these snarky comments is brilliant. I'd love to see her and Ryan Reynolds in a movie together, just having a snark off, because I genuinely don't know who would win out of the two of them based on her performance here. But yeah, she's very good, Anna Kendrick's very good, and what I really liked about these characters, and all of them really in this, is that nobody's perfect. Nobody's even that nice. Stephanie's character is the one who's, I guess we're meant to kind of invest in her, we're meant to root for her for quite a lot of this, but she's not a nice person either. There's a lot of things that she's done in her past, there's a lot of things that she does throughout the course of the movie that paint her in a really bad light. It shows a lady who's, yeah, not very pleasant, not the nicest of people, but Kendrick is able to make her seem as if she is. She's able to make her seem like somebody we should be rooting for just because of the performance. And Kendrick and Lively together are one of the best double acts I think I've seen this year. The two of them bounce off each other so incredibly well. The script is really, really strong here, so there's so many great one-liners, so many funny moments, but when the movie needs to go a bit darker, it does, and it does it extremely well. And this keeps you guessing. This isn't the sort of movie where you know where it's going to go. At least I certainly didn't. I had no idea where this was going to end up, and there were numerous times throughout where it surprised me, where it went off in different directions, and ones that I hadn't even considered it could have gone to. But it does. It takes chances. It's not afraid to sort of push the boundaries a little bit. It's not afraid to be a bit taboo when it needs to be. It does exactly what it wants to do, and it's a much better film for it. It doesn't feel like there was any kind of studio restrictions placed on it. Paul Feig was just allowed to do his thing, and I think for the most part that really did pay off. Now the bit that's a little bit difficult to talk about. So there's a twist. There's a twist in this one, and I'm not going to say what that twist is, but it's something that just feels a little bit trite now. There's a certain plot device in stories like these that happens, and it's hard to keep that original. And I appreciate I'm being quite vague, I just don't want to ruin it, but if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But say a certain trope that a lot of these mystery stories tends to go down, and I kind of wish it hadn't. It felt a little bit too contrived, a little bit by the numbers. I mean, it's to the movie's credit that it still does feel fresh, like there's enough different angles on this twist to make it feel like its own unique thing. But at the same time, I'm tired of that kind of story aspect now, and I'm going to stop talking about it because it's very, very difficult without being extremely vague. And I know I'm being vague, but yeah, just a part of the twist didn't quite work for me. But it's one of the few problems that I've got with this. It's not a particularly fast-paced movie, but I don't think it needs to be. It's the kind of film that benefits from taking its time. It allows things to just progress naturally at its own pace, and it really does benefit the movie as a whole. The overall story is quite convoluted, but I kind of feel that that was the point of this. It's the whole thing kind of has this air around it where it's trying to be over the top, where it's not trying to be a grounded story. There are so many different things that happen, so many twists, so many turns, that in a lesser film it could just come across as convoluted, but here it doesn't. Here it fits with the tone of the story, so I can kind of buy into it a lot more than I would do, and that's entirely down to the script and how it's performed and directed, and all three of those extremely well. But yeah, overall, A Simple Favour was an extremely pleasant surprise. I don't think I understand all of the choices. Like, there's French music that plays throughout this whole movie, and I'm not quite sure why. I'm sure there must be a reason. If you know what that reason is, somebody mention it to me. Anna Kendrick's character does make reference once to a French story, so I don't know if that's part of the link. But yeah, that seemed a bit odd to me. I don't know why it was in there. I mean, it's not an overall problem. It's just something I found to be a little bit distracting. But yeah, let me know if you know the reason for that. But yeah, a pleasant surprise, A Simple Favour. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I ended up really, really enjoying this one. I'm going to give A Simple Favour a 9 out of 10. Have you seen A Simple Favour? If so, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of them. And get in touch on Twitter as well, at JoeJulians. Let's talk on there, and let's talk in the comments. Let's just talk. Let's just all talk. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.